Nightwolf, the Beta Project #1. The night over Jackson City was unusually quiet, but Max Jackson knew better. Quiet in this city never meant peace. It meant something was moving beneath the surface. From the top of a towering skyscraper, Nightwolf stood still, scanning the city through the glowing lenses of his cowl. Data streamed across his vision: heat signatures, movement patterns, intercepted communications. One name kept appearing again and again: Victor Halden. Bruce Parker's voice crackled through the comms in Nightwolf's ear. "Sir, I've intercepted another encrypted transmission. Halden Biodyne Systems is moving equipment through the industrial district. Unregistered shipments." Nightwolf didn't respond immediately. He already saw it. A convoy, black trucks, no markings, heavy guards. "They're not just moving equipment," Nightwolf said finally, his voice low. "They're moving something they don't want found." "Shall I alert the authorities?" Bruce asked. "No," Nightwolf replied. "By the time they arrive, it'll be gone." Without another word, Nightwolf stepped off the ledge and dropped. His glider deployed instantly, cutting through the cold air as he descended toward the industrial district. Below, the convoy rolled through dark streets, guarded by armed men in tactical gear, Halden's private security. Nightwolf landed silently on a rooftop ahead of them. "Bruce," he whispered, "map the route." "Uploading now." "They're heading toward Warehouse 17. Then we stop them before they get there." As the first truck passed beneath him, Nightwolf moved. He dropped onto the roof of the lead vehicle with precision, his boots barely making a sound. One of the guards looked up, too late. Nightwolf smashed through the roof hatch, pulling the driver out and slamming him unconscious against the door. The truck swerved violently before crashing into a stack of crates, blocking the road. The convoy screeched to a halt. Chaos erupted. "Contact! Contact!" one of the mercenaries shouted. Gunfire lit up the street, but Nightwolf was already gone. He moved through the shadows like a ghost, taking down guards one by one. A flash of movement, one man dropped. A strike from behind, another fell. His suit absorbed glancing shots as he closed the distance, disarming enemies with brutal efficiency. One mercenary tried to flank him. Nightwolf grabbed his arm, twisted, and slammed him into the pavement. "Who do you work for?" Nightwolf demanded. The man hesitated. Nightwolf tightened his grip. "Victor Halden," the mercenary finally said. "We're just security." Nightwolf released him, only to knock him out a second later. "Figures," he muttered. More guards rushed in from the back trucks, heavier weapons in hand. "Sir," Bruce warned, "they're escalating." "I see that." Nightwolf activated a pulse from his gauntlet, an electromagnetic burst that disabled several of their weapons instantly. Sparks flew as rifles went dead in their hands. Before they could react, Nightwolf was already on them. He fought like a predator, calculated, relentless. Every movement had purpose. Every strike ended a fight. Within minutes, the street was silent again. The convoy was down. Nightwolf approached the final truck, the one most heavily guarded. He tore open the back doors. Inside were sealed containers, scientific equipment, vials, strange energy readings pulsing faintly through the air. "Bruce, this isn't just transport." "I was afraid of that," Bruce replied. "Halden's been experimenting again." Nightwolf clenched his fist. "Then this doesn't end tonight." Sirens echoed in the distance, JCPD finally arriving. Nightwolf stepped back into the shadows, disappearing before they could see him. As he climbed to a nearby rooftop, he looked back one last time at the wreckage. "Victor Halden," he said quietly, "you just made yourself my next target." Bruce's voice came through again, calm but serious. "I'll begin tracking all Halden Biodyne activity immediately." Nightwolf stared out over the city. This was just the beginning. And then he vanished into the night. Nightwolf, the Beta Project #2. The memory wouldn't let go. Rain poured over Jackson City, but Max Jackson didn't feel it. He stood alone on a rooftop, staring out at the distant glow of the industrial district, specifically one place. Blackwood Chemical Plant. That night replayed in his mind again and again. The Purple Gang, chaos, screams, chemicals spilling across the floor, and then the man in the red helmet, falling, disappearing into the chemicals below. No body. No confirmation. Just silence. Nightwolf clenched his fists. "Sir, Bruce Parker's voice came through his earpiece, calm but cautious. "You've been reviewing that case file for over an hour." "I should have saved him," Nightwolf said quietly. "He was a criminal. He was still alive." Before Bruce could respond, an alert flashed across Nightwolf's visor. Emergency broadcast. Live footage. A figure dancing in the middle of a street, surrounded by chaos. Cars crashed, people running, laughter echoing through the speakers. A clown. "Mad Jack?" Nightwolf growled. On the screen, the clown spun toward the camera, his painted grin stretched unnaturally wide. "Did you miss me, Jackson City?" The signal cut. Bruce spoke again, sharper this time. "Multiple sightings. He's moving fast." Nightwolf was already moving. The trail led him across the city. Graffiti, destruction, laughing victims left tied up in absurd displays. Every step felt like a game. Mad Jack was playing with him. Finally, it led to one place. An abandoned amusement park on the edge of the city. Rust covered the rides. The Ferris wheel creaked in the wind. Lights flickered where there should have been none. "Of course," Nightwolf muttered. "A circus for a clown." "Be careful, sir," Bruce warned. "He's unpredictable." Nightwolf stepped forward anyway. The gates creaked open as if inviting him in. Inside, the laughter began, echoing, distorted, everywhere. Nightwolf moved through the park, scanning, tracking heat signatures, but they flickered, vanished, reappeared. Mad Jack had rigged the entire place. Then he saw it. The fun house, lights flashing, music playing faintly, waiting. Nightwolf approached slowly, then stepped in mirrors. Everywhere. Reflections twisted, stretched, distorted into nightmares. The laughter grew louder. Then the story began. It flickered across the walls, showing crude images, like a moving comic told through projections and reflections. A gang. Purple colors, chaos. The chemical plant, Nightwolf froze. No. The scene shifted. A figure in a red helmet, falling. But then, standing back up, the red helmet, alive. Walking through chemicals, unchanged. Watching. The mirrors around Nightwolf filled with that same image, the red helmet staring back at him from every angle. Then the laughter cut through it. Mad Jack stepped out from behind the mirrors, clapping slowly. "Bravo, bravo, what a performance," he shouted. "A tragedy, a mystery, a ghost story." Nightwolf turned toward him, tense. "What is this?" Mad Jack tilted his head, grin widening. "What if he didn't die? What if he changed? What if he's still out there?" Nightwolf's voice hardened. "You're lying." "Am I?" Mad Jack giggled. "Or are you just afraid you failed?" The mirrors shifted again. Now the red helmet stood behind Nightwolf in every reflection, watching, waiting. For a split second, Nightwolf hesitated. That was all Mad Jack needed. He lunged forward with a blade. Nightwolf reacted instantly, blocking the strike, twisting Mad Jack's arm and slamming him into a mirror. Glass shattered across the floor. The illusions flickered wildly. "You don't get to play with that," Nightwolf growled. Mad Jack just laughed, even as he struggled. "But it's so fun, watching you doubt, watching you break." Nightwolf hit him again, harder this time. Mad Jack collapsed, still laughing. "You'll never know," he whispered. "Is he dead, or is he something worse?" Nightwolf restrained him, locking his arms behind his back. "It doesn't matter," Nightwolf said coldly. "You're done." As police sirens approached in the distance, Nightwolf dragged Mad Jack out of the funhouse. The lights behind them flickered out. The laughter finally stopped. Later that night, outside Ravenshade Asylum, Mad Jack was dragged inside, still chuckling to himself. Nightwolf stood in the shadows, watching. "Containment confirmed," Bruce said. Nightwolf didn't respond right away. His mind was still in that funhouse, still seeing those reflections, still hearing the question. What if he didn't die? Nightwolf looked back toward the city. "If he's alive," he said quietly, "I'll find him." Bruce's voice softened. "And if he isn't?" Nightwolf's expression hardened behind the mask. "Then I make sure no one else ends up like him." Lightning flashed across the sky, and once again, Nightwolf vanished into the darkness.
No.
Ravenshade Asylum number 1, interview 1104. Dr. Aller, we are interviewing patient number 1104. Real name unknown, alias Mad Jack. But here at Ravenshade Asylum, we believe in helping our patients reconnect with identity and reality. So for this session, we will refer to him as John Doe. Subject is seated in reinforced glass chamber. Restraints active. Observation lights on. John Doe, can you hear me? Oh, I can hear you. Doc, I can hear everything. Even the parts you're scared to say out loud. Laughs. You've got a nice little cage here. Very classy. Very hopeless. Let's begin simply. Do you remember your origin point? The earliest event that defines your current psychological state? Origin point. Ha, you mean birth? Or the moment I became fun? Because those are very different things. The latter then. The turning point. Oh, that's easy. The chemical plant. Dr. Voss pauses. Notes are taken. Describe what happened at the Blackwood chemical plant. There was screaming, purple lights, a gang trying to act like they were kings of rot and rust, and then there was him, the one with the red helmet. Laughs softly. He thought he mattered. Continue. The tanks broke. The chemicals spilled like rain that forgot how to fall. Everyone ran. Everyone except him. And then he fell. Right into it. Into the change. Mad Jack leans forward against restraints, voice lowering. But here's the funny part. Doc, I think he didn't die. I think he listened to it. Listened? The chemicals talk if you're close enough. They rewrite you. They don't kill you. They edit you. This brings us to Nightwolf. Your obsession with him has been documented across multiple incidents. Why him? Mad Jack tilts his head, smile widening. Because he doesn't understand the joke. Nightwolf thinks the world is something you fix, but it's not. It's something you watch burn properly. You've encountered him multiple times. Do you consider him an enemy? Enemy? No, no, no. He's the audience. He's the only one who stays in the theater when everyone else runs, even when the story gets messy. You attempted to manipulate him during your last encounter at the amusement park by using hallucinations involving the red helmet incident. Mad Jack chuckles louder. Oh, that. That wasn't manipulation, Doc. That was art. I just showed him what he already fears, that the past doesn't stay buried. It just puts on a mask. Dr. Alaric Voss, are you suggesting the red helmet is alive? Long silence. Mad Jack stares at the glass, then smiles. I'm suggesting Nightwolf doesn't sleep well anymore. Dr. Voss closes his file slowly. Dr. Alaric Voss, final question, John Doe. What do you want from Nightwolf? Mad Jack leans back, voice soft now, almost gentle. I want him to stop being the hero, because heroes don't survive this story. Only witnesses do. Lights flicker in the observation room. Mad Jack begins laughing again, low at first, then growing louder until the speakers distort it. Dr. Fisef's subject remains highly unstable. Fixation on Nightwolf intensifying. Chemical plant incident continues to manifest as core delusion or possible shared trauma event. Recommend increased containment protocols. End of interview 1104. Nightwolf, the beta project number 3. The rain hit Jackson City like it always did, hard, cold, and never apologizing for anything. Max Jackson stood on the edge of a rooftop, watching the streets below through the glowing lens of his visor. The city never truly slept, but tonight it felt restless. Any movement? Bruce Parker asked through the earpiece. Nightwolf didn't answer immediately, because he already saw her. A flicker of motion across the rooftops, light, fast, deliberate. A silhouette slipping between shadows like she owned them. She's here, Nightwolf said quietly. Bruce paused. You mean? Yes, Nightwolf interrupted. Cheshire Cat. A couple months ago, she had been a mystery he couldn't solve. At first, he thought she was connected to the big players, the mob bosses, Luciano Moretti, Marco DeLuca, maybe even tied to the Red Dragon mercenaries. She had appeared during the bank incident. Too fast, too skilled, too coordinated. Quick Shade had been in the area that night too. Red Dragon activity was confirmed nearby. Everything pointed to a larger operation, but nothing had ever added up, because she wasn't part of any of it. She was just a thief, a very good one, and she had gotten away. Now she was back. Nightwolf sprinted across the rooftop, leaping the gap between buildings as the chase began. His grappling line fired out, hooking onto a ledge, and he swung forward through the night air. Containment strategy? Bruce asked. I don't need containment, Nightwolf said. I need answers. Cheshire Cat moved like she was part of the city itself. She landed on a neon-lit billboard, turned, and waved at him casually before disappearing into an alley below. Seriously? Bruce muttered. She's mocking you. She always does, Nightwolf replied. He dropped down after her. The alley twisted into a maze of back streets and fire escapes. Every turn felt intentional, like she was guiding him somewhere, or wasting his time. Then she stopped. Standing in the middle of the alley under a flickering streetlight, she slowly turned toward him. Nightwolf, she said lightly. Still chasing shadows? Drop the act, he said. Who are you working for? Cheshire Cat tilted her head. Working for? That's adorable. She held up a small bag, coins clinking inside. I don't work for anyone. Nightwolf stepped forward. You were at the bank robbery months ago. You were inside before Quickshade arrived. Before Red Dragon mercenaries even showed up. Yeah, she said. And I left before things got interesting. People died that night, he said sharply. Her smile faded for half a second. Then it came. I know, she said softly. That's why I don't stay for the ending. A silence stretched between them. Bruce's voice came through the comms. Sir, she's not escalating. This isn't a threat response pattern. She's playing, Nightwolf finished. Cheshire Cat suddenly twirled, stepping backward into the shadows. You're getting better, Nightwolf, she said. But you're still looking for a villain in a place that only has survivors and thieves. I don't care what you call it, he said. You broke the law. She laughed. In Jackson City? That's funny. Nightwolf lunged, fast, precise. A perfect strike meant to end the chase. But she was already gone. A burst of motion, too quick to track. A smoke pellet shattered at his feet, filling the alley with thick haze. Nightwolf activated thermal vision, but the readings fractured. Too many false signatures. Too many exits. Left rooftop, Bruce shouted. Nightwolf fired his grappling line, but it caught nothing. She was already gone. When the smoke cleared, only silence remained, and a single playing card stuck to the wall. A cat silhouette printed on it. Nightwolf pulled it free. You'll catch her eventually, Bruce said. No, Nightwolf replied. He crushed the card in his hand. She lets me see her. He looked up at the rooftops where she had vanished. Not a mob asset, not a mercenary, not a piece of a bigger conspiracy. Just chaos in motion, a ghost that refused to be caught. And somewhere above him, hidden in the skyline, Cheshire Cat watched him leave, smiling. Because in Jackson City, even heroes could be played like games.
What did you mean, the vapor?
Nightwolf, the beta project number 4. The rain had finally stopped over Jackson City, but the streets were still slick, like the city itself was trying to wash away what had already happened. Max Jackson stood outside the iron gates of a private high-rise estate on the upper edge of the city. Security lights swept across manicured lawns and marble statues, too clean for a man like the one who lived here. Inside, Dominic Falconer Struthers, known on the streets as Ostrich, a mob boss who never got his hands dirty because he always buried the mess somewhere else. Perimeter locked, Bruce Parker said through the comms. Security grid is heavier than expected, automated turrets on the west wing. Nightwolf adjusted his grip on his gear. He's expecting me, he said, or paranoid, Bruce replied. Nightwolf stepped forward anyway. The moment he crossed the outer gate, the estate woke up. Spotlights flared, alarms echoed, hidden defenses activated from the hedges and walls, non-lethal, but designed to stop anything moving fast enough to matter. Hostile entry detected, an automated voice announced. Yeah, Nightwolf muttered, that would be me. He moved. A blur through light and shadow. Grapple lines snapped him over security fire. Smoke pellets dropped behind him. He slid under a collapsing gate as electrified bars slammed down where his head had been seconds earlier. Ostrich is really trying this hard? Bruce asked. He's not trying to stop me, Nightwolf said. He's trying to slow me down. Why? Nightwolf didn't answer immediately, because he already knew. Someone like Ostrich didn't fight heroes. He ran from consequences. The mansion's interior was worse. Too quiet, too controlled. Every hallway looked like it had never been used, like no one ever walked through it except in fear. Then the doors at the end of the corridor opened, and Dominic Falconer Struthers stood there, calm, dressed in a tailored suit, hands behind his back like he was hosting a meeting instead of waiting for arrest. "Well," Ostrich said, "Nightwolf." "Dominic Struthers," Nightwolf replied. "You're done?" Ostrich smiled faintly. "Am I?" Behind him, the walls shifted. Panels slid open. Mercenaries. Not Red Dragon. Not mob goons. Private contractors, clean, trained, expensive. "Of course," Bruce muttered. "He outsourced muscle." Nightwolf exhaled. "Last chance," Ostrich said. "Walk away. You're out of your depth in this part of the city." Nightwolf tilted his head slightly. "You think this is your city?" Ostrich's smile faded. That was enough. The mercenaries moved first. Nightwolf moved faster. A strike to the nearest attacker, disarm, pivot, takedown. Another lunged. He used the momentum, flipping him into a wall hard enough to crack it. A stun baton swung at his ribs. He caught it, twisted, and dropped the attacker without hesitation. It wasn't a fight. It was cleanup. Within seconds, the corridor was silent again. Only Ostrich remained. Dominic Struthers stepped backward for the first time. "You think this ends anything?" he said, voice tighter now. "I don't think," Nightwolf said. He stepped forward. "I stop things." Ostrich reached into his jacket. A hidden device. Bruce shouted, "Sir, he's activating." Nightwolf was already moving. The device never fired. Nightwolf struck first, disabling Ostrich's arm, twisting him down, slamming him against the marble floor. The suit he wore meant nothing. Power meant nothing. Money meant nothing. Only consequence remained. Ostrich laughed weakly as Nightwolf restrained him. "You don't understand," he said. "People like me, we always come back." Nightwolf leaned down slightly. "Then I'll be waiting." Outside, Ironcrest transport arrived within minutes. Black armored vehicle, silent, official. The kind used for people who were no longer problems for the streets, because they were now problems for somewhere else. Ironcrest Penitentiary. No escapes. No influence. No second chances. As guards took Ostrich away, he turned his head slightly toward Nightwolf. "You're making enemies bigger than you can see," he said. Nightwolf didn't respond, because he already knew that too. After the transport doors closed, Bruce spoke quietly. "Dominic Struthers is secured. Ironcrest transfer complete." Nightwolf stared at the vehicle as it disappeared into the rain-slick streets. Another name off the board, another piece of the city stabilized. And still, something about Ostrich's warning lingered. Not fear, not doubt, just the feeling that this city never really stayed quiet for long. Nightwolf turned away. "Next target?" Bruce asked. Nightwolf stepped into the shadows. "There's always a next one." Nightwolf, the Beta Project number 5. The city had started changing. Max Jackson noticed it before anyone else did. The way criminal territories didn't just shift anymore, they were being consumed. Whole operations that once belonged to Dominic Falconer Struthers, Ostrich, had vanished off the map. Not taken over by the police, not dismantled, absorbed. Now Bruce Parker's voice came through the comms, low and serious. "Sir, new intel confirms Ostrich's former territories are no longer independent." Nightwolf stood on a rooftop, scanning the skyline. "Who took them?" he asked. A pause. Luciano Moretti, Marco DeLuca, and a new figure, Red Mask. Nightwolf's grip tightened. So the city wasn't just criminal anymore. It was organized into something worse, something evolving. Then the alert came in. Chemical district, unregistered, containment breach, a moving substance, no clear form. Witnesses described it as alive, but not alive. Nightwolf was already moving. The warehouse was still when he arrived. Too still. The doors were open, hanging off their hinges like they'd been melted from the inside. Inside, the floor shimmered, like it was breathing. "Bioscan is unstable," Bruce said. "I'm reading inconsistent mass structure." Nightwolf stepped forward carefully. Then it moved. The floor rose. No, not the floor. A creature formed from shifting gray material, thick, elastic, constantly reshaping itself. Arms formed, then dissolved. Faces tried to exist and failed. A voice came from it, distorted and bubbling. "Night? Wolf?" Nightwolf stepped back slightly. "What are you?" The thing tilted like it was trying to understand the question. Then it smiled. "I am Putty." It surged forward, fast, smothering. Nightwolf dodged just in time as the creature slammed into a support beam, absorbing it halfway before spitting it out like waste. Not solid, Bruce warned. It's adapting to impact. I see that, Nightwolf muttered. Putty reformed behind him, grabbing his arm, trying to engulf it. Nightwolf triggered an electric pulse through his gauntlet. The creature recoiled, shrinking back with a wet, unstable hiss. You're just one big mistake, Nightwolf said. Putty's face formed again, this time more defined, almost mocking. Everything is mistake, it replied. Then it split. Multiple smaller versions of itself rushed him from all sides. Nightwolf moved through them. Fast strikes, controlled bursts, breaking them apart before they could fully stabilize. Each piece collapsed into sludge until one didn't. That one froze, then hardened. Caught. Sirens outside. Police had arrived. Containment units rushed in with specialized canisters. Good timing, Bruce said. Nightwolf didn't respond. He watched as officers carefully collected Putty's main mass, sealing it inside reinforced containment glass. But something was wrong. He felt it. As the police secured the final lock, one small fragment slid off unnoticed. No bigger than a fist. It wriggled like it was thinking. Then it slipped through a drain opening in the floor. Sir, Bruce said suddenly, urgency rising. One fragment escaped containment. Nightwolf turned sharply. Track it. It's moving fast, heading east. A map display appeared in his visor. Then the line extended beyond the city boundary, toward West Haven. Nightwolf's eyes narrowed. Why West Haven? I don't know, Bruce admitted, but it's not stopping. Nightwolf watched the dot disappear from the Jackson City grid. Something small, something incomplete, something learning. The main Putty mass was hauled away in armored containment, but Nightwolf didn't move. Because he understood something most people wouldn't. Monsters didn't always stay whole. Sometimes they spread. He turned toward the skyline. West Haven sat in the distance like a shadow waiting to wake up. Containment failed, Bruce said quietly. Nightwolf stepped into the wind. No, he replied. It just started. Ravenshade Asylum number 2, interview 1105. Dr. Alaric Voss. Dr. Alaric Voss, director of Ravenshade Asylum. Today we are interviewing patient number 1105, real name unknown. Patient is classified as an unidentified anomalous entity, non-human amorphous biological mass commonly referred to as Putty. Security restraints engaged, chamber sealed, environmental pressure stabilized. Let's begin. Can you understand me? Yes. Doctor, do you recognize your current state of containment? Contain? Yes. Small. Loud walls. Describe yourself. I am moving material. I was many pieces. Now I am one piece. Pause. Then I am not one piece. Writes notes slowly. Reports indicate you were encountered in Jackson City before being transferred here. Do you remember Nightwolf? The chamber visibly ripples. Nightwolf. Yes, sharp one. What is your connection to him? He breaks me. I learn from breaking. Explain. When I am hit, I become smaller. When I become smaller, I move easier. When I move easier, I leave. The surface of Putty shifts, briefly forming a face-like structure before dissolving. You escape containment during transfer from Jackson City. A fragment of your mass is unaccounted for. Do you understand the consequences of that? Yes, it went away. West Place, West Haven. Dr. Voss pauses sharply. You are referring to West Haven City? Yes. New place. Quiet place. Waiting place. What do you intend to do there? Long silence. The Putty mass slowly rises and falls like breathing without lungs. Grow. Grow into what? Whatever is there. Whatever touches me. Whatever does not know me yet. Security systems flicker briefly. You are not authorized to leave containment. You understand that, correct? I do not leave. I become small enough to leave for me. Doctor sets down his pen. Final question. Do you consider yourself a threat? The Putty mass stills completely. Then it forms a single word across the glass. Yes. Lights in the chamber flicker. A faint distortion spreads along the floor before stabilizing. Dr. Alaric Voss, patient 1105 demonstrates adaptive self-propagation behavior and intentional dispersion strategy. Fragment contamination risk confirmed. Recommend immediate monitoring of West Haven region. End of interview.
God. Crane.
Nightwolf, the beta project number 6. Night had already fallen over Jackson City when Max Jackson began digging into a case that didn't feel like any of the others. A disappearance. Dr. Ichabod Crane. Named after the old literary figure by his father, Thomas Crane, Ichabod was a respected professor at Jackson University, a man known for his extreme psychological lectures. And then he vanished. The last confirmed incident tied to him was disturbing. He had fired a gun in the middle of his own classroom, claiming he wanted his students to experience true fear. After that, no body, no trace, just silence. Sir, Bruce Parker said through the comms, you've been on the Crane case for hours. There are inconsistencies in the university footage, but Nightwolf stood on a rooftop overlooking the campus. I know, he said. Then his visor locked onto something else. A signal spike, a mass panic event at the Jackson University football stadium. The stadium was packed, a normal game, normal crowd, normal night, until it wasn't. Screaming started in the upper stands first, then spread like fire. Students were collapsing, crying, panicking, each one trapped in something only they could see. Their worst fears. Hallucination outbreak detected, Bruce warned. This is not natural panic response. Nightwolf dropped into the stadium and saw the helmets. Something was wrong with them. He grabbed one mid-chaos, scanning it instantly. Chemical residue detected, Bruce said. Psychotropic compound embedded in foam lining. Nightwolf's eyes narrowed. This was intentional. Then the lights died. A heavy silence fell over the field. And through the darkness came a sound. Hooves, slow, deliberate, unnatural. A figure emerged onto the field, tall, wrapped in a ragged coat, a scarecrow-like man holding a scythe, mounted on a horse that didn't move like a normal animal. It stalked across the turf. Green gas began pouring from canisters strapped to his body, spilling across the stadium like fog. People screamed harder. Fears are truths, the figure shouted, and truth must be revealed. Target identified, Bruce said urgently. Unknown chemical dispersal agent, psychogenic toxin. Nightwolf activated his filter mask. Evacuate the stadium, he ordered. I'm trying. Crowd panic is too high. The scarecrow turned toward him and pointed the scythe. Nightwolf, the man said, like he had been waiting. The horse charged. Nightwolf dodged the first strike, then the second, moving through gas-filled air as hallucinations began to flicker at the edges of his vision. Shadows of his fears, echoes of failures. He pushed through and fired a grapple line, but the scarecrow vanished into the gas. Gone. The chaos subsided only when Nightwolf managed to secure a sample of the toxin, sealing it in a containment vial. This will help isolate a cure, Bruce said. Get it to Commissioner Mercer, Nightwolf replied. Now. Hours later, at Jackson PD headquarters, Commissioner Daniel Mercer coordinated emergency distribution of the antidote. The students slowly recovered, fear fading, reality returning. But Nightwolf wasn't done. Because the pattern didn't stop. Similar incidents appeared across the city's system logs. Smaller outbreaks, controlled fear events, all pointing to one location, an abandoned warehouse district outside the university zone. Nightwolf arrived alone, rain starting again. Inside the warehouse, the air was already thick with traces of green residue. And was the scarecrow. No horse this time, Nightwolf said. The figure tilted its head. You followed the fear, it replied. Nightwolf moved instantly. Fast, precise, controlled. The fight was brutal, scythe against blade, illusion against discipline. The scarecrow tried to force visions into Nightwolf's mind again, but this time he resisted. Because he had the toxin, he had studied it, and he had adapted. A final strike. The scarecrow fell, mask cracking as Nightwolf pinned him down, and then silence. Police sirens arrived moments later. Commissioner Mercer stepped into the warehouse with armed units. Suspects secured, Nightwolf said. Mercer looked down, then paused. Ichabod Crane? The mask was removed, and beneath it was the missing professor. The City News later ran the headline, Scarecrow Terror Thwarted, Jackson University Professor Arrested. Nightwolf stood outside as Crane was taken away. Bruce spoke quietly in his ear. You stopped it. Nightwolf didn't respond immediately. Because something about Crane's words still lingered. Fears are truths. Nightwolf looked toward the city skyline. Not all of them, he said, then disappeared into the night. The Grant Mercer Report in One broadcast studio, Jackson City News Network. The screen flickers on. A clean studio, bright lights, the city skyline glowing behind glass windows. Standing at the desk is Grant Mercer, tie slightly loosened, expression serious, but controlled. Good evening, Jackson City. Tonight, we begin with what can only be described as an escalating pattern of incidents spreading across our streets, our institutions, and even our sense of safety. This is the Grant Mercer Report. Over the past several months, Jackson City has experienced a sharp rise in unusual criminal activity and unidentified threats. Not ordinary crimes, not isolated events, but connected disturbances that suggest something larger is happening beneath the surface. First, we have the rise of vigilante activity. A masked figure known only as Nightwolf has been repeatedly linked to multiple high-risk interventions across the city. These include the dismantling of organized crime operations tied to major mob networks, the capture and imprisonment of high-profile criminal figures such as Dominic Falconer Struthers, multiple encounters involving unknown experimental substances and enhanced individuals. While some citizens view Nightwolf as a protector, others raise concerns about accountability and oversight. Next, we turn to recent containment-level threats. Authorities have confirmed incidents involving a shape-shifting entity known as Putty, which has demonstrated self-propagating behavior and possible migration outside city limits. A chemical-induced terror event at Jackson University Football Stadium involving hallucinogenic exposure. The emergence of a masked figure referred to as the Scarecrow, later identified as missing Professor Dr. Ichabod Crane. These cases suggest a troubling trend, psychological and biological manipulation being used as weapons against the public. In addition, intelligence reports indicate shifting power structures within Jackson City's criminal underground. Territories once controlled by smaller organizations have been absorbed by larger and more dangerous figures, including Luciano Moretti, Marco DeLuca, and a newly emerging figure known only as Red Maskler. Law enforcement officials have declined to comment on the full scope of these developments. Perhaps most concerning is the increasing number of unexplained cross-region anomalies. Reports show potential movement of unknown biological or experimental entities beyond city borders, including a confirmed instance linked to West Haven. Officials have not confirmed whether these incidents are connected, but the timing is difficult to ignore. Grant Mercer pauses, looking directly into the camera. There is a pattern forming in Jackson City. Not just crime, not just chaos, but escalation. Something is pushing the city into a new era, one where traditional law enforcement may no longer be enough to contain what is emerging. As always, we will continue to investigate these developments and bring you verified information as it becomes available. For Jackson City News, I'm Grant Mercer. Good night. The broadcast fades out, and the city remains uneasy. Ravenshade Asylum Number 3, Part 1, Interview 1106. Dr. Alaric Voss, Director of Ravenshade Asylum. Today we are conducting an interview with patient number 1106. Real name, Dr. Ichabod Crane, also known in Jackson City media reports as the Scarecrow. Security restraints engaged, containment chamber sealed, audio recording active. So Dr. Crane, how are you doing today? Ichabod Crane sits calmly in the reinforced glass chamber. His posture is unnervingly relaxed. His hands rest loosely in his lap. Ichabod Crane, I am observing. Observing what exactly? The difference between what people say they fear and what they actually become when fear arrives. Dr. Voss pauses, then writes briefly. Let's stay focused. Patient number 1106, Dr. Ichabod Crane, also known as the Scarecrow. You are currently detained following multiple confirmed incidents involving mass psychological distress events in Jackson City. Do you understand why you are here? Yes, because I showed them truth. Truth, as you define it, involved chemical dispersal agents and unauthorized psychological experimentation on civilians, including students at Jackson University. No, the chemicals were only encouragement. He tilts his head slightly. The fear was already there. I simply helped it speak. You are referring to the stadium incident. Witnesses reported hallucinations, panic responses, and a figure matching your description spreading an unknown gas. Why target fear specifically? Because fear is honest. Anger lies. Hope lies. Even justice lies. But fear always tells the truth. Dr. Voss leans forward slightly. And Nightwolf? You were engaged by the vigilante Nightwolf during the warehouse containment operation. What is your connection to him? Ichabod Crane smiles faintly. He resists fear. That makes him interesting. Interesting how? Most people break when they see what I show them. Nightwolf walks through it. But I saw it. Even he flinches. Dr. Voss pauses, expression tightening slightly. Dr. Eric Voss, this concludes part 1 of the interview. We will now proceed to observation review and psychological assessment continuation under secondary supervision. Audience additions, chamber feed shifts. Ravenshade Asylum number 3, part 2, secondary interview session, new room, different lighting, different chair. A second unnamed doctor is present. Second doctor, let's make this quick. You don't scare me. You don't have your toxin. You're just a man in a cage now. Ichabod Crane slowly lifts his head. I don't need my toxin. Is that supposed to mean something? Ichabod leans forward slightly, eyes locking onto the doctor. The air in the room subtly shifts. It means you already carry your fear. I just show you where to look. The second doctor frowns. Enough games. Enough games. Suddenly, the doctor freezes. His pupils dilate, his breathing changes. No, 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 get them off me, get them off me! The camera feed glitches slightly. Spiders appear in the doctor's vision, hundreds, crawling, covering him, on his arms, his face, his lungs. Make it stop! Ichabod Crane remains still, calm, almost disappointed. That is not the toxin. That is you. The doctor collapses backward in panic. Suddenly, a loud impact. The wall behind Ichabod's chamber explodes inward. Nightwolf enters, fast, silent, one strike. The second doctor is knocked unconscious instantly. Nightwolf turns to the guards. Guards rush in, securing Ichabod Crane's containment unit. Ichabod Crane looks at Nightwolf as he is restrained. For a brief moment, their eyes meet. No words, just understanding. Nightwolf turns away and disappears into the shadows of Ravenshade Asylum. End of Ravenshade Asylum number 3.
All exclusively for Disney Plus subscribers. Explore your perks now at disneyplus.com/perks.
Nightwolf, the beta project number 7. Nash Part 1, Daydog. Jackson City was still waking up when Max Jackson moved across the rooftops. Target confirmed, Bruce Parker said through the comms. Daydog is holed up in the old transit kennel facility near Dock Row. He's armed and aggressive. Nightwolf stopped at the edge of a rooftop, looking down at the rusted building below. Why is he always at animal-themed locations? Bruce asked. Nightwolf didn't answer. He was already dropping. Inside the facility, the smell of iron and burned wiring filled the air. Daydog was waiting. A brute of a man wearing a reinforced collar-like harness, barking orders at his crew like a mad pack leader. Nightwolf, he roared. I've been waiting to bite you back.
Is that weird? I'll tell you a story.
Nightwolf, the beta project number 7. Part 1, Daydog. The night was unusually quiet over Jackson City. Too quiet. Max Jackson stood inside his wolf cave, the underground base humming with low blue light. A thin holographic screen floated in front of him, DNA results processing. Match confirmed, Bruce Parker said through the comms. Daydog. Real name, Evan Rook. Repeat offender. Multiple escape incidents. Nightwolf exhaled, so we finally have a name. Outside, Evan Rook was already moving. The Daydog costume flashed across rooftops, bright, absurd, impossible to track. He was laughing as he ran, like the city was a game built just for him. But this time, Nightwolf was waiting. A grappling line snapped forward. Daydog twisted midair, but Nightwolf predicted it. Impact, controlled takedown, no hesitation. Still think this is funny? Nightwolf said. Daydog just grinned under the mask. Always. Minutes later, Detective Raymond, Ray Kessler, and Commissioner Daniel Mercer arrived on scene. Got him? Ray asked. Nightwolf nodded once. Evan Rook. Confirmed. Mercer didn't respond at first, just stared at the restrained criminal. Take him to Ironcrest, he finally ordered. Ironcrest Penitentiary transfer complete. Chesh Part 2, The Octopus. 2 nights later, a coordinated robbery alert hit 5 districts at once. Banks, data vaults, transit hubs, all synchronized. Nightwolf stood above the city map. This is him, Bruce said. The Octopus 8 is active again. Nightwolf already knew. Inside an abandoned warehouse district, the operation was underway. The Octopus stood at the center, commanding his gang like an orchestra. Move sectors 3 and 4. I want clean extraction routes. Then, a shadow dropped from above. Nightwolf. What followed was precise chaos. The Octopus 8 tried to surround him. Multi-directional attack patterns, coordinated movement. But Nightwolf moved through them like a storm cutting through threads. One by one. Disarmed. Disabled. Down. The Octopus tried to retreat. Nightwolf grabbed him mid-step. You're done planning, he said. After the fight, DNA scans confirmed identity. Real name, Victor Lorne Hale, Bruce reported. Nightwolf looked at the unconscious strategist. No more networks. Detective Ray Kessler arrived with Mercer again. This the mastermind? Ray asked. Nightwolf handed over the data chip. And the whole Octopus 8. Mercer nodded. Send them all to Ironcrest. Part 3, Pigeon. The city lights blurred overhead. A fast-moving figure streaked across rooftops. Pigeon. Bank alarms echoed in the distance. Too late again, or so he thought. Nightwolf dropped in front of him mid-jump. Pigeon crashed into the rooftop hard, scrambling backward. Come on, he shouted. You can't catch me. I'm built for this. Nightwolf didn't reply. He just activated the DNA scanner. After a short chase across rooftops and ventilation lines, Nightwolf finally pinned him near a construction crane. One clean strike. End of movement. Scan complete. Identity confirmed, Bruce said. Real name, Miles Corrin. Nightwolf looked down at him. No more flying. Ray Kessler arrived, slightly out of breath. You always beat me here, he said. Nightwolf handed him the cuffed criminal. Commissioner Mercer stepped forward. All 3? He asked. Nightwolf nodded. All 3. Mercer gave a firm order. Ironcrest, maximum security. As transport vehicles pulled away, Nightwolf stood in silence. 3 villains, 3 identities revealed, 3 more cracks in Jackson City sealed, at least for now. Bruce spoke quietly. You're getting faster at this. Nightwolf looked over the skyline. I'm not faster, he said. I'm just paying attention. And somewhere deep in Ironcrest, the city's newest inmates began to realize the same thing. Nightwolf didn't just stop criminals anymore. He learned who they were before they disappeared. Nightwolf, the beta project number 8. The wind over the Jackson City Police Department rooftop carried the sound of sirens far below. Distant, constant, like the city never fully exhaled. Max Jackson stood near the edge, cloaked in darkness. His Nightwolf mask absorbed the city glow, keeping his identity buried in shadow. Behind him, 2 figures waited. Commissioner Daniel Mercer and District Attorney Adrian Jekyll. This was not a press meeting, not a formal briefing. This was something more dangerous. A conversation that needed to stay off the books. We're running out of ways to contain it, Mercer said, arms crossed as he looked out over the city. Luciano Moretti is tightening control every week. Marco DeLuca isn't far behind him. Adrian Jekyll adjusted his coat, expression sharp and analytical. They're not just criminals, Jekyll said. They're infrastructure. You don't arrest infrastructure. You dismantle it piece by piece. Nightwolf stayed silent. He already knew this. Mercer turned slightly toward Nightwolf. That's why we brought you in, Jekyll nodded. Your interventions have been effective, but we need something stronger than arrests and takedowns. Evidence, Mercer added. Hard evidence, Jekyll corrected. Financial trails, communication records, internal hierarchy confirmation, enough to legally collapse their entire network. Nightwolf finally spoke. Then you're not talking about stopping them. He stepped forward slightly. You're talking about ending them.
Sorry about the cold.
A pause. The city lights flickered against the wet rooftop surface. Mercer didn't deny it. Moretti and DeLuca don't leave clean endings behind, he said. Everything they touch turns into a loop. Arrests don't hold, witnesses disappear, cases collapse. Jekyll's tone stayed calm, almost clinical. We need a foundation that survives court, otherwise they'll just rebuild. Nightwolf turned toward the skyline. Below them, Jackson City continued to breathe, unaware it was being measured for dismantling. But the problem wasn't simple. Moretti wasn't just a mob boss. DeLuca wasn't just a lieutenant. They were something deeper in the city's bloodstream. You'll need time, Nightwolf said. Yes, Jekyll replied, but we also need access. Mercer nodded once, which is where you come in. Nightwolf looked back at them. You want me to get close? Not close, Mercer said. Close enough to expose them. Jekyll added, but not enough to trigger a war before we're ready. Nightwolf understood the weight of that immediately. This wasn't like Daydog, not like Pigeon, not even like the octopus. This was a different level, a structural enemy, one that didn't just fight back, it absorbed pressure. I'll need leads, Nightwolf said. We're working on it, Mercer replied. Financial anomalies, shell companies, shipping routes, something will break open soon. Jekyll stepped closer. When it does, we move fast. Nightwolf turned slightly toward them. And if I'm exposed? Neither Mercer nor Jekyll answered immediately. That silence said enough. Finally, Mercer spoke. Then we lose Nightwolf, a beat, and Jackson City loses its edge. Nightwolf said nothing, because they didn't know what they were really asking him to risk. They didn't know who he was underneath the mask, or what he stood to lose if everything collapsed. A siren echoed far below. The meeting was over. Jekyll adjusted his coat. We'll be in contact when the evidence chain begins forming. Mercer nodded once toward Nightwolf. Stay ready. They left through the rooftop access door, disappearing back into the police headquarters below. Footsteps faded, locks clicked, and the rooftop went quiet again. Nightwolf remained alone under the city sky. Bruce Parker's voice came through softly. That was dangerous. Nightwolf stared out at the skyline. It's getting bigger, he said. Yes. And we're running out of ways to ignore it. Bruce paused. Then what's the plan? Nightwolf tightened his grip slightly. We build the case, he said, and then we break the city wide enough to expose the truth inside it. Above him, Jackson City kept moving, unaware that somewhere in its shadows, the war against Luciano Moretti and Marco DeLuca had just quietly begun.